This is John Gem, number 146, from the book of Revelation, chapter 14, the first 5 verses, about the army of God. The picture of the Lamb standing on Mount Zion takes us straight to Psalm chapter 2, verses 6 to 11, where we read, "I have installed my King on Zion, my holy mountain. I will proclaim the Lord's decree. He said to me, 'You are my son. Today I have become your father. Ask me, and I will make the nations your inheritance, the ends of the earth your possession. You will break them with a rod of iron. You will dash them to pieces like pottery. Therefore, you kings, be wise, be warned, you rulers of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear, and celebrate his rule with trembling." What John has written here is clearly a pictorial representation of how that prophecy will be fulfilled. Here we have 144,000, marshalled as the army of the Lamb. Not, of course, an army which is to go out with Kalashnikovs, etc., but one that is to fight with love and mercy for the glory of the Lord. As before, this number is carefully judged, so that when it was first written it might not be so big a number that everyone who heard it might presume that they would be included, and not so small that they might worry that there was no room for them. Now it has to be several billion to have the same meaning for all the Christians alive today. They are a mighty army, heralded with great natural sounds of water and thunder, and great human sounds of harps and singing. In the early days, when a Jewish army had to go to war, they were instructed to abstain from sexual relations, so that they might be symbolically as pure as possible. That is what is referred to here in the statement that the Lord's army were to be virgins. It should not be taken literally. They are to be followers, the word so often used in the Gospels to refer to those who believed in Jesus as the Messiah. Once again, this chapter will be read both by those Christians in countries where faith is a nice, comfortable way to live your life, and in a very different way by those who live where to believe in Jesus puts one into an unwanted category and possibly constant danger. Even in the comfortable countries, there are points to note here. 14, 4b and 5 talk about following the Lamb wherever he goes, not just on Sunday mornings, and goes on to remind the followers that they have been purchased at a terrible price, that they are but part of a mighty army, now found throughout the world in all except its most hidden corners, and that purity expressed as absolute honesty in every word is the mark of the true believer. For the uncomfortable countries, there is the promise of a future judgment, when all the greatest citadels of evil will be destroyed, and there will be eventually a terrible display of the wrath of God against all the wickedness and failure to worship the true and only God. Perhaps the most important thing of all to note in this chapter is that after the great description of the Lord's army, we are not told that it was ever used. All the action is carried out by spirit beings. We are not to go to war on behalf of the Lamb. However, those days will call for patient endurance on the part of the people of God, who are to keep his commands and remain faithful to Jesus. Dear Lord, please, may we so live that you count us amongst those. We pray.